I'm a long-time lurker, but never thought I'd be posting here. I'm not really the emotional share my life online kind of guy. But something happened. Something big, and I can't keep it in anymore. So here I am, I 34M. Have been married to my wife, 32F, for 6 years. We don't have kids partly by choice, partly because we were waiting for the right time, which honestly never came. I thought we were solid. We had our ups and downs like every couple, but nothing serious. We have good jobs, a decent apartment, and a shared love of Thai takeout and true crime docs. Nothing seemed off. That was until maybe 8 months ago, when she started taking Ubers more frequently. It started with small stuff. Oh, babe. It was just easier than parking downtown. Traffic was a mess, and I didn't feel like driving. Gas is too expensive. I'll just Uber today. Sure. That made sense. I work from home and she commutes. Some weeks she was in and out of Ubers more than her own car. I teased her about becoming best friends with some driver. She laughed kind of weirdly and said, "Actually, there is this one guy, Leo. He is always around when I need a ride. Super sweet. Kinda reminds me of my brother." Her brother let that sink in. I'm getting ahead of myself. At first, it didn't bother me. Why would it, I mean? People take Ubers. She showed me some of her receipts. Normal stuff, but after a while, I noticed something strange. She started dressing a little more. I don't know, deliberately, not for me. I know how she dresses when she wants to impress me. This wasn't that. It was more like she was trying to look hot, but casual. Like she didn't want to look like she was trying crop tops. Tighter jeans. She even wore perfume just to run errands. Errands and Uber rides, okay? Maybe I'm overthinking. I told myself that. But then I found out she wasn't just taking rides to work. She was taking them home really late. On days when I thought she'd be in the office from 9 to 5, she'd show up at 9 p.m. saying they had teen drinks or inventory audit. I wanted to trust her. She is my wife. We have history. But trust starts to fray when patterns form. One night I jokingly asked, "So when are you going to invite Leo in for dinner? I feel like he is a ghost roommate at this point." She froze. Just a flicker. A pause that lasted a millisecond too long. Then came the laugh. That shrill, high-pitched one she pulls out when she is nervous. "What are you jealous of my Uber driver now? You're insane." I played it off. She called me paranoid. Still, I started noticing things. She'd smile at her phone, then suddenly turn the screen off. She started locking her phone at night. She changed her password. She began sleeping with it under her pillow. She never used to do that. A few weeks later, her phone buzzed while she was in the shower just once. I didn't mean to snoop, I glanced. It was a notification from Uber. "Your driver Leo is on the way." But it was Sunday. She told me she was staying home all day. When I asked her about it later, she snapped. Full-blown rage. "What now? I can't even go outside without being interrogated. You're so controlling, Jesus." I didn't yell back, I just shut down. She stormed off, and didn't come back for hours later. She said she went to get air and cleared her head. No explanation about Leo. No offer to clarify anything. And like an idiot, I let it go again. I didn't want to believe the worst. I loved her. Hell, I still do, even if she is killing me slowly. But things were escalating. Soon I wouldn't be wondering anymore. Soon I'd know. And when I found out the truth, I swear to God, Reddit, I felt my soul leave my body. So where did I leave off, right? I was starting to get suspicious, and my gut was screaming at me. But I still hadn't caught her doing anything. Just whispers. Fragments. Excuses that felt thinner and thinner. Until the night it finally exploded. It was a Friday. She told me she was going to a girls' dinner after work. Said they'd be doing tapas and sangria at a place across town. I asked if she needed a ride home. She looked at me almost annoyed and said, "Leo's already picking me up." After something in the way she said his name made me sick. Too familiar. Too smooth, like Leo was just part of the plan. She left the apartment around 6:30 p.m., wearing one of her special occasion outfits. Tight black skirt, low-cut top, high heels, perfume I hadn't smelled in months. She even curled her hair for top, as I couldn't shake the feeling something was off. More off than usual. Around 8:15 p.m., I texted her. Me, everything okay. Having fun, no response. 8:45 p.m., still nothing. 9:15 p.m., I called straight to voicemail. 9:30 p.m., I texted again. Me, let me know when you're on your way. Nothing. Then something inside me broke. Call it intuition. Call it rage, I don't know. But I opened up her MacBook. She'd been logged into iCloud for years. Never thought twice about it. I checked Find My iPhone. And there she was in a neighborhood nowhere near that restaurant. Parked for over 40 minutes. I zoomed in, my chest clenched. The pin was sitting exactly outside a 24-hour diner parking lot. One I knew had a dark lot in the back. And then I saw the icon move slowly out of the lot onto the main road. She was in a moving car, and I had a sick feeling I knew which car. My heart pounding, I grabbed my jacket and keys and got in my car. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just followed the map on the laptop, using my phone as a hotspot. I tracked her location for 20 minutes, watching the little dot move through streets like a heat-seeking missile. Eventually, it stopped. Guess where? 3 blocks from our apartment. Parked. Not moving. I parked a street over. I didn't want to be obvious. I walked the rest on foot, slowly approaching the intersection. That's when I saw an Uber. Dark gray Camry. Engine running lights dimmed. And through the tinted windshield, I saw 2 silhouettes very close together. I crossed the street casually and walked by on the sidewalk, pretending to check my phone. And there she was, my wife in the passenger seat, straddling her Uber driver. Hands in his hair, his hands all over her thighs. I froze. They were making out like horny teenagers in a parking lot. Her top was half off, his seat was reclined. She didn't see me. Neither did he. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't even breathe. I felt like I was floating above my own body, watching a nightmare unfold. I stood behind a tree watching, shaking, waiting. Finally, I stepped out into the open and walked directly up to the driver's side window. I knocked once. The look on her face. She went from moaning to screaming in less than a second. She jumped off him like she'd been electrocuted and started fumbling with her bra. He tried to zip up his pants while stammering bro. I didn't know she was. Save it, I said. Calm as a glacier. Get out of the car. She started screaming at me. What the F are you doing here? Are you spying on me? Now you're insane. You're effing sick. I couldn't believe it. She got caught, and somehow I was the problem. I looked at her and said, "You're disgusting." And she spit at me. Spit at me, that was it. I walked away. Got back in my car. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just drove home in silence. When she came back 2 hours later, she tried to act like I had done something wrong. She screamed, cried, accused me of being paranoid. Said she and Leo were just talking, and I had no right to stalk her. She said I ruined something beautiful. Beautiful, she even said, and I quote, "Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't need to feel alive somewhere else." I told her to pack a bag and get out. She refused. Called me abusive for kicking her out of her home. I slept on the couch that night. I locked the bedroom door from the outside in the morning. And then I called a divorce lawyer. This is just the beginning. You think this was the end? Oh no. Because once I started digging, the real story came out and what I found next. Buckle up, Doc. So after I caught her literally on top of her Uber driver, in a moving vehicle, no less, you'd think that would be the end, right? But no. Cheaters like her, they don't crash and burn quietly. And when they do, they try to drag you down with them. After I told her I wanted a divorce, she screamed, cried, accused me of invading her privacy and ruining everything. The irony, she was saying this in our apartment, wearing a shirt that wasn't hers. I recognized the logo. It was Leo S. She stayed in the bedroom for the next day and a half. I stayed in the living room. Barely slept. Ate cereal straight from the box. Every few hours she'd storm out to yell something insane. You're throwing away 6 years over one mistake. You never appreciated me. At least he made me feel seen. You know what I didn't hear? I'm sorry. Not even once. At some point on Sunday morning, I saw my opening. She left her phone on the counter while she was in the shower. I don't normally go through her stuff. I used to believe in trust. But that person, that naive idiot, was gone. I picked up her phone and entered the password. She changed it last month. But she didn't know. I saw her type it in once with her reflection in the microwave. So I unlocked it, and what I saw wasn't just cheating. It was a campaign of betrayal. Message after message with Leo. Photos. Videos. Voice notes. She sent him selfies in my hoodie. Told him she loved how he took control. Said she wished I would just disappear already. And worst of all, there was a message from 2 months ago. A selfie of her in our bed. My pillow behind her, her hair messy. Wearing nothing. Caption still smells like him. Don't worry, I changed the sheets after winking face. I dropped the phone. Literally dropped it on the floor like it burned me. But I couldn't stop. I kept reading. She trashed me in their messages. He is so dull it hurts. He just wants to talk about work and stupid documentaries. You make me feel like I'm actually alive. And apparently, it wasn't he just Leo. There were other messages. One from a guy named Nico from almost a year ago. The timeline didn't make sense. There were suggestive photos. flirty banter, mentions of meeting at hotels. It hit me like a freight train. Leo wasn't the beginning. He was just the latest. I was married to a serial liar, a compulsive cheater, a walking grenade with lipstick. When she came out of the shower, I was waiting. Her phone was on the table. Open. Face up, all the messages visible. She looked at me, then the phone. Bend me again, and you know what she said. You had no right. That's it. Not I'm sorry. Not please forgive me, just that. I had no right to look through the phone. She left in our home while cheating on me. She went full hysterical, screaming, knocking over a lamp, crying into her hands like she was the victim. Said I violated her boundaries. Said she felt unsafe. Unsafe, I stared at her like she'd grown horns. You've been sleeping with your Uber driver in public parking lots, in our bed in hotels. Who knows where else? And I'm the problem. She screamed again, called me a fascist. I still have no idea where that came from. Then she threw her phone at the wall, which ironically only proved my point. I called her sister, told her everything. She came to pick her up an hour later. My wife, or soon-to-be ex, stormed out, yelling to her sister about how I was a gaslighting narcissist with a control complex. The moment the door closed behind her, I collapsed. I haven't eaten anything solid in days. I keep checking the corners of the room like she is still here, like she'd pop out and accuse me of spying again. The thing is, I still don't understand why we had something. Or at least I thought we did. And she torched it over and over again, then blamed me for smelling smoke. I have the lawyer lined up. I've started getting my ducks in a row. But I know this. I sent it over because I just got a call from my HR department. Apparently, someone made a complaint about me. An anonymous claim that I was emotionally abusive at home and displayed volatile behavior in the workplace. And you know what? I know exactly who filed it. So yeah, I got that call from HR. I was sitting at my desk Monday morning, trying to act like I wasn't teeing, breaking into 1,000 pieces inside when my phone rang. It was Sarah from HR, sweet woman. Usually cheerful, but her tone this time. Stone-cold professional. Hey, just letting you know, there has been an anonymous complaint filed. It's vague but serious accusations of emotional instability at home, bringing tension into the workplace, and potentially making coworkers uncomfortable. I laughed out loud. I actually laughed because it was so absurd. I'm the guy who bakes cookies for meetings, the guy who stays late to help with issues I'm not even paid to do. I've never raised my voice at anyone in the office ever. Sarah paused. You okay? Number, I said, I'm really not. She told me they had to follow protocol. There would be an internal review. Nothing formal yet, but if anything else came up, I could be placed on leave. That was the moment I realized she wasn't done. Catching her in the Uber, reading her disgusting messages, asking for a divorce. None of that mattered, because now she wanted to destroy me. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. Hope it was worth it. You'll see what happens when you cross me. No name, but I knew that tone. I'd heard it screamed at me for the last 72 hours. My stomach turned. She was unraveling and taking me with her. The next morning, one of my coworkers, Jenna, pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. Apparently, my wife, STBXW, I guess I should call her now. Had messaged Jenna on Instagram last week. I told her I had been making creepy comments at work, that I was losing control emotionally, that she was worried about everyone's safety. Jenna didn't buy it, thank God. She said it sounded off, like someone trying to poison the well. But still, the fact that she did it at all, this woman, wasn't he just toxic? She was radioactive. Later that day, I got a message from Leo. Yes, Leo, the Uber driver. Guess what he wanted to apologize? Said he didn't know she was married. Lie that things got out of hand. Another lie, and that he was ending things with her. I didn't he respond. He followed up with this gem. She is really messed up, man. You don't know the half of it. I stared at that for 10 full minutes. And then I called her sister again. Turns out my wife wasn't staying with her anymore. She moved out the night before. No one knew where, and guess what else? She quit her job just like that. No notice. Walked out. Said she needed to be free. So now I've got a furious, unstable ex, no idea where she is. And evidence she is trying to nuke my personal and professional life from orbit. But here is the worst part. Remember those old messages I saw from a guy named Nico? I did some digging. Nico, I sent just some fling from her past. He is married with 2 kids, and I found his wife on Facebook. I shouldn't have messaged her. But I did. I told her everything. Sent screenshots. Apologized for blowing up her life, but said I thought she had the right to know. She thanked me. Said it wasn't he the first time. That this was just the final straw. She told me she'd message me again soon with something I needed to see. And she did. She sent me a photo of my wife in their house, taken months ago, holding one of their kids, smiling, wearing the same necklace I gave her for our 3rd anniversary. I'm not exaggerating when I say I nearly vomited. It's like I don't even know who I was married to. A pathological liar, a manipulator, a woman who could pretend to be someone else as loving aunt while screwing their husband behind closed doors. How long had she been doing this? How many other men? How many other lies? I started therapy this week. My lawyer says we're moving forward fast. I want this over with now. Burn it all down legally and cleanly. But something tells me she is not going to go quietly. Because when someone thrives in chaos, they don't let go without lighting a few more matches. So where were we? Oh yeah, my soon-to-be ex-wife had vanished from her sister's place, quit her job, tried to sabotage my career, and left a string of scorched earth relationships behind her. And the Uber guy Leo, he tapped out, claimed she was too much even for him, which I'll admit made me laugh for the first time in weeks. But I had a bigger problem. She was off the radar. Her number stopped working. She blocked me on everything. My lawyer couldn't serve her the initial divorce paperwork because we couldn't even confirm her address. She was legally still my wife, but now she was also what? A runaway mistress, a part-time home wrecker with no forwarding address. My therapist, yes, I finally started going regularly, told me to detach from the outcome and focus on myself. Easier said than done when the woman who destroyed your life is still actively trying to smear your name while ghosting her legal responsibilities. But then I got lucky. Really lucky. Remember Nico's wife, the one I messaged after finding those screenshots? Let's call her Claire. Claire reached out to me again and said, "You might want to check this out." She sent me a screenshot from her husband's Venmo history of 500 transfer labeled emergency hotel. Sent to my wife. Dated 3 nights prior. I asked where she thought they were. She replied my guess. Hotel O'Hara off exit 49. That's where he always took her. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I got in my car and drove. When I pulled into the lot, it was like something out of a low-budget movie. Rusted sign. Flickering light. A weird dog barking behind the check-in office. I sat in the car for 5 minutes, and finally worked up the nerve to go in. Hi, I'm looking for someone. A woman about 5'6", dark hair. Probably booked with someone named Nico, or maybe under her own name. Any chance. The guy at the counter, didn't he even blink? You, his wife, I froze. Number, I'm her husband. That caught his attention. He checked the register. Room 217. Paid in cash. Checked in 3 days ago. No checkout date listed. He told me he hadn't seen them since yesterday. I stood in that lobby for a long minute. Then I said thanks and walked back to my car. I didn't knock on the door. I didn't want to see them. I'd seen enough. I just took a picture of the car in the parking spot. Nico's license plate matched. Then I sent it to Claire. You were right. She replied with a single word filing. That night, I finally had all the proof I needed. My lawyer was able to push forward with a default divorce filing, since we had her location. We scheduled a process server to deliver the papers the next morning. Guess what? She refused to accept them. She literally ran back inside the motel and slammed the door. My lawyer had to file a motion to serve by publication, which basically means we could post the notice in a newspaper and move forward without her signature. She could be walked away clean. But she wanted to keep the fire burning, even if it meant standing in the flames herself. 3 days later, I got an email. No subject line. Just a blank email with one attachment. It was an audio file. I hesitated. Scanned it for malware. Then opened it. It was a voicemail of her crying. I know I messed up. I know I ruined everything. But you didn't have to make me feel like a monster. I needed something that wasn't cold. Something that wasn't boring. I needed to feel beautiful again. And Leo, he made me feel like I mattered. She sobbed for a few seconds. I don't expect you to forgive me. But you should know it wasn't all fake. Not everything. There were moments when I really did love you. Click. That was it. No apology. No accountability. Just guilt in an audio file wrapped in excuses and self-pity. I didn't respond. I sent it to my lawyer. He said it's perfect for court. I haven't heard from her since. But something tells me this. I sent the last time she tried to crawl back into my life, or blow it up again from afar. Because people like her, they don't disappear. They linger like smoke after a house fire. You might rebuild, but you'll always smell the ashes. Got a few weeks past. I started sleeping through the night again. Barely, but still progress. My therapist said I was in the acceptance phase. Funny word that it sounds peaceful. Clean. Like you've made your peace. But what it really means is, you stop screaming in your car and start screaming inside your own head instead. The divorce paperwork moved forward. The court accepted service by publication. And if she didn't respond within the deadline, I'd get a default judgment. Finally a way out. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just wanted out of the burning wreck. Then life threw another curveball. My uncle passed away. Massive stroke. Sudden. I flew home to be with my parents, and the whole extended family gathered for the funeral. It was hard, not just because of the loss, but because grief has a way of cracking open every wound at once. On the third night there, I got a Facebook message request from someone named Amy Keller. No profile photo. No mutuals. Just you don't know me, but I know your wife. Can we talk at this point? I'd already learned not to trust shadows, but I replied, ex-wife, and maybe why. She responded instantly. Because I was with Leo too. For 2 years while he was with your wife. I felt the heat drain from my face. We got on a call. Amy was calm. Sharp. You could hear the hurt in her voice, but she wasn't unhinged, just tired of secrets. She told me Leo had been seeing multiple women while he was sleeping with my wife. Not just hookups, actual relationships. Gaslighting. Love bombing. Promises. Lies. Apparently Amy had found my wife's photos on Leo's iPad. Not 1 or 2 hundreds. Some of them intimate. Amy confronted Leo. He denied everything. So she started digging. Found me through Instagram. Said she debated reaching out, but finally decided to, after seeing that I had posted a vague quote on my story that read, "Some betrayals cut too deep to be ignored." That one sentence told her I knew. She asked if I'd be willing to share anything about my wife's timeline with Leo. So I did, and what we discovered together. They overlapped for almost an entire year. My wife was cheating with a guy who was cheating on her with at least 3 other women, and none of them knew about each other. You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. But here is the kicker. After our call, Amy sent me one last screenshot. It was from Leo's phone. A message from my wife. Let him take the house. I don't care anymore. I just want him to pay emotionally. I want him to feel it deep. Like I did when he ignored me all those nights. Let me be crystal clear. I never ignored her. I was home, I cooked dinner. I watched her favorite shows. I rubbed her feet when she had headaches. I carried her through job losses and panic attacks and depressive spirals. I loved her even when I shouldn't have. And she rewrote that history like she was the victim. I stared at that message for a long time, and then something in me snapped back into place. She wanted to break me, no. She wanted revenge for wounds she imagined, while inflicting real ones on everyone around her. That's when I made a decision. I sent all the screenshots, recordings and messages from Amy and Claire to my lawyer. He said we had more than enough to counter any future claim of abuse, emotional cruelty, or instability. He even said we could push for damages if she tried to sabotage my job again. I also wrote a statement to HR explaining everything. I didn't dump the drama. I just calmly laid out what happened, what proof I had, and what I was doing to protect myself legally and mentally. My company has been understanding so far. Turns out, being transparent when you're not the guilty one actually helps. And then I wrote a letter, not to her, to myself, forgiving myself for missing the signs, for loving someone broken, for staying too long, for thinking I could fix someone who never wanted to be healed. I burned the letter in the backyard fire pit and watched the ashes rise. For the first time in months, I didn't tear cry. But this story I send to you over. Not yet, because there is still one more twist. The day after the default divorce ruling was finalized, I got a text from her number. The same number that had been deactivated. I'm pregnant, and it's yours. I stared at the screen for a full minute. I'm pregnant, and it's yours. From the same number she disconnected. No greeting. No explanation. Just that after all the cheating, all the lies, all the destruction, now this it felt like the final bullet in a 6-chamber revolver. Didn't he respond right away? Couldn't he? Every possibility raced through my head. Was this real? Was she trying to delay the divorce proceedings? Was it Leo S? Was it Nico S? Was it even true? I mean, let's be honest, this woman lied like she breathed. Her truth was whatever helped her win the argument in the moment. But still the tiniest sliver of panic loomed in my chest. Because what if I sent a screenshot to my lawyer? He responded almost instantly. Will request a formal paternity test and notify the court. Do not respond directly. Not yet, he also added. We've seen this tactic before. Don't fall into emotional traps. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat in silence. What infuriated me wasn't just the possibility of the lie. It was the cruelty behind the timing. She knew the divorce had just gone through. She knew I was starting to put myself back together. And this was her lobbing a grenade over her shoulder as she walked away. 3 days later, I got another message. This time a photo. It was a positive pregnancy test sitting on a bathroom sink. She didn't even clean up the background. There were 3 empty white clock hands in the shot, and a bottle of wine behind the faucet. Great image of maternal health. Then came the follow-up text. You're going to be a father. Like it or not, I showed the photo to my therapist. She actually left. Then said don't respond. Let the lawyer handle it the next day. Leo messaged me again. Apparently he had received the same photo. Same message. Identical wording, you're going to be a father. Like it or not, he asked me if I thought it was real. I replied she sent the same message to 3 men. I'd be more concerned if you hadn't gotten it. He went quiet. Honestly, I hope he is terrified. I hope Nico is too, assuming she sent it to him as well. She probably did, I mean. Why stop at 2, this woman? Doesn't she just burn bridges? She sets entire cities on fire. My lawyer sent an official request through the court for her to submit medical verification and agree to a court-ordered DNA test. No answer. A week passed. Then 2. Finally, a letter came. Not from her, from a free legal aid clinic in a neighboring state. They were representing a vulnerable woman in a high-stress situation and requested I cease all attempts to force contact regarding her pregnancy. Nice try, we replied with our own official filing. Either submit to a test or drop the claim. No more guessing games. I haven't heard from her in 12 days now. No texts. No calls. No new social media drama. Just radio silence. Which almost makes it worse. Because when people like her go quiet, they're not healing. They're plotting. And I can't shake the feeling that there is one more card up her sleeve. In the meantime, I'm doing the only thing I can do. I'm rebuilding. I'm getting new locks. I changed my number. I'm seeing friends again. I even reinstalled Spotify and started listening to music that isn't just ambient. White noise. I still wake up some nights with my heart racing. Still wonder how I missed the red flags. Still feel like a fool. But I'm standing. I'm not broken. Not anymore. Just scarred. Still, there is one question I keep asking myself. How do you move on from someone who tried to burn down every part of you and then left you to explain the ashes? I thought things had finally gone quiet after the fake pregnancy scare. The silence had lasted nearly 2 weeks. No calls. No texts. No dramatic outbursts. Just nothing. I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, she moved on to her next victim, and I could finally breathe. But deep down I knew better. With people like her, the calm is never peace. It's the inhale before the scream. And then it happened. It was a Tuesday night late. I was driving back from a work dinner. Tired, but content. I even had music on, actual music. Not just podcasts about trauma and gaslighting. I was a block from my building when I saw it. A black Toyota Camry parked awkwardly under a street lamp. Engine running, back seat occupied. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Rideshare, maybe a couple saying goodbye. Then I saw her, my ex-wife, in the back seat straddling Nico. Her hands in his hair, his shirt unbuttoned. The windows steamed up like some cliché movie scene. I froze. Literally stopped in the middle of the street. I pulled over. I don't even remember turning off the engine. I just remember the roar of blood in my ears. You know that feeling when reality twists, when your stomach drops and your skin goes cold. That I stepped out of the car. I walked straight to the taxi. Knocked on the window once. Twice. They didn't hear me, so I opened the door. The next 10 seconds were chaos. She screamed like I had assaulted her. Like I had no right to exist. What the F are you doing, you freaking stalker? Nico scrambled to zip his pants. She actually shoved me, and started screaming about boundaries and respect. In the middle of the street at 11:45 p.m. With her pants around her ankles. I didn't say a word. Just stood there and watched her meltdown. Like a toddler denied ice cream. She called me obsessed. Said I couldn't let go, that I was pathetic. Creepy and controlling. Nico tried to play peacekeeper. Tried to reason with her. Bad idea. She turned on him. Don't you talk to me like that. You promised you'd delete the messages. Why the F would you park here? Are you stupid? It was glorious. I watched her burn 2 bridges at once. Then she said it, the line that still rings in my head. This is all your fault. I wouldn't have cheated if you hadn't been so boring. There it was, the truth. Not an apology. Not accountability. Just pure narcissistic projection. She couldn't even own her own mess. She had to pin it on me again. I turned to Nico. You still think you're special? I asked. He looked down. Said nothing. I turned back to her. Good luck, I said. You're going to need it? And I walked away. I didn't look back. Didn't he need to? I could still hear her shrieking half a block away. Calling me every name she could think of. Threatening to call the cops. Which, by the way, I wished she would. I had everything on record now. But I didn't take care. For the first time in months. I felt free. There is something powerful about seeing the truth with your own eyes, not through messages, not through rumors, but right there. Raw, ugly. Real. She wasn't he just broken. She was toxic, and I finally saw her for what she was. Not a victim. Not confused. Not lost. Just cruel and selfish. When I got home, I laughed. Like really laughed. Loud. Long. The kind of laugh that starts in your gut and ends with tears in your eyes. Because for the first time in forever, it wasn't T-Pain. It was release. You'd think catching your ex mid-affair in the back of a car with her pants down and ego exposed would be the final chapter. But no, not with her. With her, there is always another scene. Another outburst. Another performance. And this time she went for the grand finale. 3 days after the taxi incident, I got a call from a blocked number. I ignored it. Then I got a text from an unknown number. You're going to regret this. Charming. Then you can't ruin my life and expect to walk away clean. Then a photo of her crying. Mascara running in front of a hospital. Caption, you did this. I didn't even respond. But she wasn't done that weekend. I went to grab coffee with a friend. Harmless. Just catching up. We barely sat down when I noticed a car pull up across the street. Her car, I watched her sit there. Sunglasses on, engine idling. Watching us after 10 minutes. She drove away. The next morning, my friend texted me. Your ex DM'd me. She said I was trying to steal her husband. What the hell is going on? I apologized, explained everything. Thankfully, she understood. But it shook me. She was stalking me. That same day, she called my boss. Told him I was emotionally unstable after the breakup. Said she was worried I might bring drama to the office. Luckily, my boss knows me well. He called me directly and said, dude, what did you marry? Fair question. I was embarrassed, but also finally done being surprised. She wasn't spiraling. She was strategizing. Every meltdown was a tactic. Every tear was a tool. Every accusation projection. I called my lawyer. We added a harassment clause to the divorce terms. Restraining order was on the table if needed. When she was served the updated papers, she went ballistic. Left me 17 voicemails. Each one angrier than the last. Calling me a coward. A narcissist. A manipulative little worm. She screamed into the phone. No one leaves me. I am the one who decides when it ends. Over and there it was. The truth in her own voice. It was never about love. It was about control. A week later, I got an email from Nico. Subject line, I'm sorry. He told me he had no idea she was still married. That she told him we'd been divorced for months. That she said I was her abusive ex, who wouldn't he leave her alone. He said he broke it off. Said he was scared. Said she threatened him when he tried to walk away. Didn't he know what I was getting into? I'm sorry, man. Didn't he reply? What was there to say? She was who she was. And now he knew eventually. The noise died down. She stopped texting. Stopped showing up. Stopped trying to burn my world down. Maybe she found a new target. Maybe she got bored. Or maybe she finally realized she'd lost. Either way, it was quiet. And that quiet, it was beautiful. I started sleeping again. Started eating better. Started laughing real laughter, not the hollow stuff. The version of me I used to know, he came back. Piece by piece. Day by day. People ask me if I miss her. The truth, I don't even miss the idea of her. Because what I loved, wasn't he real? It was a mask. A performance. A lie I wanted to believe. But the woman behind it, she was chaos dressed as charm. A storm in a silk dress. And I was the fool who tried to build a home inside a tornado. Never again, Dot. It's been 6 months. The papers are signed. The apartment is mine again. And more importantly, my peace is mine. It's strange how silence used to feel uncomfortable. Now it feels sacred. After the divorce was finalized, I did something symbolic. I took a drive. Not just anywhere, I followed the same route she used to take to work. The one she declaimed was too far. The one that made her tired. The one that forced her to use that damn taxi app. As I drove, I passed the gas station where they used to stop. The parking lot where I caught her. The street she used to call me from pretending to be in traffic. And I didn't feel rage. I felt nothing. That was the win, I thought. I did feel vindicated. I thought closure would come with fireworks or final words. But no closure, ISNT, confrontation. It's the absence of need. I didn't need her to admit she was wrong. Didn't need an apology. Didn't he need justice? I just needed distance. And I had it. A few people asked why I never posted about her publicly. Why I didn't out her. Why I didn't take revenge. Believe me, I thought about it. But the truth is, she wanted the attention. She lived for drama. If I fed that fire, it would burn forever. So I did the one thing she couldn't handle. I let her become irrelevant. No more texts. No more fights. No more energy spent explaining myself. She faded into the background like static, and I moved on. These days I've been rebuilding. Went back to the gym. Took a solo trip to Iceland. Started learning photography. Even adopted a dog from a shelter. Named him Radar, because he sees through everyone. He also growls at ride-share cars. I call that instinct. I've made peace with what happened. Not because it was okay, but because I refused to let her live rent-free in my mind any longer. To anyone reading this going through something similar, let me say this: you are not crazy. You are not weak for believing in someone. And you are not broken beyond repair. You will survive this. You just have to stop waiting for the other person to save you. They want to. They never intended to save yourself. My wife started taking a lot of rides with the same driver. Turns out she was having an affair with him right under my nose. I caught her in the act, filed for divorce, and endured months of emotional chaos. But I made it out stronger, wiser, and finally free. If you're in a toxic relationship, get out. You don't owe anyone your destruction.